Hi there. Thank you. Okay, good. I can see. This is the fantasy model for Gov 2.0, and looks like this. Miracle occurs in step 2, that all we have to do is just have lots of open data and cool services, and people will just instantly be passionate and engaged in doing everything we want them to do. And this is the other social media fantasy, which is that if the government just blogged more and tweeted more, then people, would have this great inspired feeling, and there'd be a nice, close, intimate relationship. And as a programmer, I'm not very comfortable with models that are based on getting lucky or fantasy. So when we looked at trying to create passion, we said, well, let's just approach it like an engineering problem and reverse engineer passion. If you really study the things that people are passionate about, what do those things have in common? What is the set of attributes that you find, and how can we try to use that instead of just relying on luck and fantasy? And the kind of passion that we're talking about is not where people just get enthusiastic or where something is a fad or a trend. It's something where people are really, really into the topic, and they're getting better and better and learning more. That's the criteria that we use for something that is really, truly a passion. So I know that many of you here are probably interested in digital photography, so you may understand this quote, which reflects the feeling that people have when they're really interested in photography. And that's the kind of feeling that we're trying to look for. That sort of feeling when people are so into it. So when we look at the things that people are passionate about, you do find a set of common attributes. But one of the main things that you find everywhere, and in fact, if this does not exist, you don't have passion, and it's this one, that wherever there is passion, there are people who are kicking ass. They're kicking ass, they're getting better and better and better. And we'll look at why that is and how to make that happen. Because, having an experience like this, that's not passion. Now, we wonder why people will actually snowboard the second time. But there are other motivational reasons why people keep doing it, even when they don't yet kick ass. But being better is just better. So anything that we can do to help people get better at something in a meaningful way, and that's what we have to look at, because it's not just about providing services and data, even about things that we think might be really important that people would care about. For some reason, that spark isn't lighting, so we have to figure out how to make that happen. And this is really the main reason that when people get better, they become more passionate. It's because being better gives you a higher resolution experience, a deeper, richer experience for whatever that thing is that you've developed a passion for, or that you are kind of somewhere on the curve of possibly becoming passionate. You get better and you learn more, and you see the world differently, or you hear the world differently. So people who know something about jazz and classical music, or whatever their style of music is, they hear more than the rest of us. They perceive the music differently. It's deeper and richer. It's as if the CD itself had been remastered. They can go to a concert, and they'll hear subtle things in the mix, or in my case, because I used to do audio mixing, I want to just run up to the mixing board and knock the professionals out of the way and move those sliders, because I hear things, or at least I've convinced myself I do. This is the night sky in LA, and I don't know, I haven't seen the night sky in Washington, D.C. It probably has about that same number of stars. However, to someone who actually starts to know something about the night sky and the stars, they might look up and see the same stars, but see more. It's a richer experience just looking up. And then they download the application onto their iPad or iPhone called Starwalk, and the next thing you know, the night sky has become this richer, high-resolution experience for them, and now they are Googling light pollution, and they care about light pollution, but not because it's a good thing to care about, but because they now have a richer experience of the night sky, so it's now meaningful. So we're looking at trying to create that, those deeper, richer experiences, helping people get better at something. So we have to ask for everything that we do, every service that we're thinking about providing, if we care about it, if it has a reason for existing, then we should ask, how is this helping people kick ass? Or how is this helping them get better at something in a meaningful way? This is the way that we pose it to authors and to software developers and companies who are building products, is change your focus from thinking about building a better X to making a better user of X. And this is particularly bad in the engineering world because we are so hung up on our tools and our awesome tools that we're making that we just focus, even when we think we deeply care about the customers, we're still reflecting that by thinking if we just make a better thing, that will be what's better for the customer. When if you completely change that focus and say, no, it's about making a better user, that might drastically change the products that we make, or even the documentation. It might mean stripping out half of what you had in there and replacing it with things that actually make that person better. That's something they care about, which isn't always what we think they should care about. And this is just another way to think about it. In the software world, we always say, we're waiting for the killer app. Don't make a killer app. Make a killer user. Focus on what they're doing and how we can help them. So another way to think about it is that if you are helping people do something that they might be able to become passionate about, and again, we might not have the same kind of passion that people have for some of their most beloved activities or causes or sports, but anywhere that we can get people up on that curve is still a way to get them more engaged. Think about it like a superpower, that we're giving people a superpower. So you can test it by doing an exercise where you say, well, imagine it on the superhero suit. Would it work? Would it make sense to be on a suit? Well, the Star Defender guy, that makes sense. Yeah, he cares about the night sky. He's kicking ass because he sees something the rest of us don't see. It is literally like a superpower for him. And you can picture Star Defender, now he cares about light pollution. But we start to look at these things that we think people should care about, and they're not necessarily so inspiring. But there is a way. There is a way to actually bridge into things. Now, this is the most interesting one, healthy lifestyle choices. Because we think, what could be more personal and motivating than that? Well, that turns out to be a big problem. So I know probably most of you are familiar with the statistic I'm going to give you, but it's incredibly grim. Imagine that you all had just been told that if you had just had coronary bypass surgery, and you had just been told by someone that you trust, sorry, these lights are really bright and I'm trying to see you, you had just been told by someone that you trust that if you don't change your lifestyle, you'll die. At the very least, you'll have a really incredibly difficult and painful surgery again, but you'll probably die. So the question is, would you change? And just about everybody hears that question and goes, well, of course I would change under those circumstances. But the statistics are that, look in your row, about 2 of you would change in your row and the rest of you are dead. 2 of you would change. And this cuts across all demographic boundaries. So if it's 1 in 9 would actually make that change, and we can't get people passionate to save their own life with changes that in reality we can look at it on paper and say, it's not that difficult. If we can't whip up passion for that, what hope do we have for the things that we also think people should care about, like energy and the environment and all the other issues? Well, this sounds really grim, and then there's this. People care about their pets. People are really passionate about their pets. And when you look at that, and they're passionate about their pets somehow in the context of honor students, but I don't know what that connection is. People are passionate about their pets, and the statistics are that in the United States, adults in America are overweight. A subset of that would be considered obese. Overweight about 60% or more. Pets, only about 40%. So if you have pets, chances are your pets are on a healthier lifestyle regimen than you are. You care more about their diet, their exercise, their health care. So this is interesting. It's like pets are this gateway drug into passion. So if people have passion for their pets, but even more so than their own health, well, that's one example of something that we can use. And in fact, pets can be a bridge to passion for all sorts of other things. This is some books I found on Amazon. Yes, you get out your power tools and you're doing, although the makes it sound like the pets are going to be doing the power tools, but projects for pets. This is make your own environmentally sound cat toys. I don't even know what that means. That's a book, though. And this is my favorite, which is Fun with Your Cat Science Kit. And my husband saw that, and like a week later, he's a science geek, came home, honey, I have a kitten. So I have no idea what experiments he's going to be doing. So we have to think about how can we wrap the things that we want people to care about in a passion context, because it's not going to do us any good to say, well, they should care about these things. We have to figure out how to, get through there. So we'll think of this as like weaponized learning. If there's something they do care about and that they are already interested in, let's ride in through that. And then bridge. So one of the questions that I hear asked a lot, especially in the context of Gov 2.0, is, well, how can we make more compelling content? How can we get people to watch our YouTube videos? How can we do things so that people will pay attention to our stuff, which is important? And that's the wrong question. If we're trying to get people to be passionate, we should be caring about the thing they care about most, which is really themselves, and say, it's not about what we provide. Can we help them be more interesting? Can we help them get more comments on their YouTube videos? Can we help them be more interesting at a cocktail party? And what would that look like? And how would that change the things that we produce if we could? There's some very lightweight, easy ways to do that. So we could teach something cool. We can give people a way to do some creative self-expression. I'm going to show you that in just a second. We can wrap it in some sort of compelling context. So, for example, this was the old Howard Dean site, had instructions for how to make a switcher video, an Apple parody switcher video. Only in this case it was, I switched to Dean. So the fact that that didn't actually work should not distract from the fact that the instructions on that site were phenomenal, and lots of people learned how to actually make these videos from that site. Netflix origami. Use your labels to do origami. Again, we're just talking about little bridges. Here's a very simple example that people have used in all sorts of contexts. And this is kind of the take a picture of our thing in the wild. So picture, something as absurd as your water quality report. And I'll show you some examples of that in a minute. Have people take a picture of it in the wild. Find some kind of a context where people can take pictures of it. So, of course, people wanted to show pictures of their iPod in a variety of locations. But this, that's an iPod. Of course, there were millions of people ready to do that. But this was just a small technical publisher who had these books and said, take a picture of our book in interesting locations. This guy thought, for some reason, a different angle might make a difference. Same thing. Maybe the close-up of the cow will make a difference. But people start using their creativity when they're showing a picture of this thing in the wild. It's not, here I am holding it in front of something. Pretty soon you get photos like this. This is the running of the bulls. Yes, this could be photoshopped, but I don't know. There's your water quality report. So here's our challenge, right? Water quality guy. How do you make that attached to something that people can be passionate about? Here's a first step, and then I'll show you a better one. This is the city of Bryan, Texas. They decided to do something about that. The water quality report that they are required to produce that no one reads, and they all knew no one reads it. They made a pinup calendar. These are the real guys who work in the sewers. These are the guys. The way they put it is, these are the people who have, I think the mayor said it, these are the people who have literally the crappiest job in the city. And they are now pinup models. And, and people recognize them, and people started having conversations about it. This was the next year they had to do the movie posters. But there's information in there, and it's stealthily sneaking in. And they said that people talked about not only did they put the calendar up, so this is the third year now, it's the comic book, and they had, the bad guys, the villains, backflow. They had a conversation with people in the community talking about backflow. And they said that had certainly never happened before. But if you don't have the budget, you can do something better. If you don't have a budget to do things like that, let's look at things that people are passionate about. Now, just let's put that on hold for just a second. And let's look at this. 1 million hits in Google for lolcats. Something we think of as a silly internet meme. Cats with captions, right? Cats with captions. And some of them are really clever, and this is actually, I think, is quite beautiful. But that's what they are. And then there are all sorts of templates. Like there's the invisible template. And this one, I think that's my favorite. But here's the thing. We're saying, silly internet meme. Yeah, millions of people waste time doing that. But there is a statistic that's pretty shocking. Now, this is not just lolcats. This is the lolcats. There's actually a network of sites. I think they call it the Cheeseburger Network. But if you go to lolcats.com, you'll see the other sites. There are these internet meme sites and they get 20,000 submissions every single day. I'm not interested in all the people who view them. I'm interested in the people who are creating them and trying desperately to get something on the front page. And we think they're just silly, but pretty soon you're like, there are lots of parents probably in this room who would be thrilled if their child actually got that joke. This is lol code. This is actually a computer programming language written in lol speak. And yeah, that's funny, that's cute, it's 99 bottles of beer on the wall. I'm a programmer. I wrote the same code for 99 bottles of beer on the wall in Java, a more serious book, in my book, and realized at one point this code is actually more elegant than mine. And these are all the people collaborating on projects around that code. This is computer science, and not trivial computer science. This is a translation. You know, language translation is still kind of at the forefront of computer science. And there's, of course, a wiki where they were translating the Bible at one point, 61%, I mean the Bible. At one point, 61%, now you can buy the Lolcat Bible. So, Lolcats is a context for science, technology, collaboration, but we're just dismissing it as a silly internet meme. Meanwhile, people are trying to get better and have a higher resolution at creating these things. So, you go to Indie or Alterna, challenge.org, and you have people translate your water quality report, into Lolcat. Again, it's not about the packaging of that. It's about all the conversations that people are having. It's the way the ways people are fighting over how something should be represented, in Lolcat. That's because people cannot translate what they don't actually understand, what they haven't read. But GraphJam is an even more interesting one, part of the sites. Kids won't do their math homework. They come home and spend hours trying to get a GraphJam accepted to the front page. There are people who dismiss this, and then there are teachers who look at that and go, that's a Venn diagram. Didn't know he even knew what a Venn diagram meant. Likelihood that I'll use my 4 years of high school Spanish education for. These are the kinds of things that are showing up on the main page. Painfully only 8 instead of 9 Planet. You can guess which one is the one most ridiculed. But then you have something like this. These are silly internet memes. These are kids on a site that nobody takes seriously. Right? This is the kind of thing, this is actually one of the most popular ones by votes. So that's GraphJam. And here's the last one, which is my favorite, which is actually called Totally Looks Like. And it's all about just pop cultural references. This thing totally looks like this thing. And they're really clever, but after the first 20,000 versions of Justin Bieber looks like, there weren't any more things, so people had to start reaching to get their thing accepted. Pretty soon you've got art history and the Kraft mac and cheese girl. You have parents saying, I can't believe he knows who James Buchanan is. And then, since we're in DC, a context. But this one's my favorite. So cute. It's adorable. It's really adorable. So these are the ones that are actually getting accepted and voted on. And now you've actually got geography. Think about what's really happening here. This one is both makes you cry and laugh, but mostly cry, but they're thinking about it at least. So, we heard, well, this one got more votes, though. So we heard that that TED is the first 21st century university, but I think we should have Law School as the second 21st century university because there is so much more going on. That's just one example. If we can take things that people have a passion for already, where they're already increasing their resolution, and do something to help give them a superpower and connect to the things that we care about, then we have a chance. And I'm honored to be here with all of you. Thank you.